2-2, 2-2. Yep, yep. Hey, hey. You seeing me? You seeing me? All right. Armed and loaded.
Koi Kudanga, Inangao Zage, Naibueka, Tumia Yaika, Senangapa, Naikia Wage, Kaine, Mungu Tanaga Sanka, Natla Kunia, Amanaka, Eso Korban.
perfect event. It's
No, it's not.
gonna fly away. Leave it. Just leave it.
Stacey?
It's yours as well. Welcome everyone. Good timing with regards to the weather. Melbourne's always on time. Just want to introduce myself. Noyugu Yini Marumara. So I'm Hans Bokeland. I'm the inaugural director of Aboriginal Melbourne. And just a couple of housekeeping things before we commence the actual ceremonies. Before I introduce Stacey, the MC Piper, who's a Wurundjeri Judjarurrung woman and chairperson for the Victorian NAIDOC Committee, I'd just like to go through some of these housekeeping rules with you now. As you can see, it's a COVID event. We've registered this event, and so continue to please be aware of distancing, social distancing. You should have a pack, and in there's a mask, also hand sanitizer. Also, what's in your pack as well is an electronic candle. So when we do turn the lights out, you're welcome to use them. As I mentioned, there's certain seats designated for elders and people who need to take a seat. But also you notice there's markings on the floor just to give you an idea about what 1.5 metres is. Just to let you know also that this event is live streamed on the Aboriginal Melbourne and VIC NAIDOC Facebook pages for anyone who's unable to be in attendance today. And obviously with the umbrellas, just be mindful of people around you, blocking their view. Toilets are to my left, or your right, so just be aware of that. Also emergency exits is directly in front of me, in case of emergency. Also, if you need any assistance, you'll notice people with certain vests, pink vests. Any issues, please grab anyone who's got one of those pink fluoro vests on. And just a reminder too, after the ceremony, breakfast will be provided across to my right, your left, across the park a bit. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Stacey Piper, the MC, to officially open this event. Thank you, Stacey.
Hey, good morning everybody. I'm just going to raise my voice a bit more and project it because I'm not sure you can hear us very well. The rain's coming down. It's definitely a cleansing of some sort. Before I go on any further, I'd like to introduce my senior elder, Auntie Joy Murphy-Wandham, to welcome you all to country. And if you'd like to move in following COVID safety rules, I feel like it'd be nice to have mob closer around the fire if you'd like. And no umbrellas obstructing the elders' views, but maybe fill the seats and come in. That would be great. Thank you.
Babaneen Yellingbu, good morning. Some of you are seated. Those of you who want to remain seated, that's fine. But could I ask you please to take 1 minute silence in remembrance of those who have passed over many years and still continue to do today. Nutchkunwa. Could I begin by paying my respects to all ancestors, elders and communities across this nation and neighbouring islands. I'd like to also acknowledge all elders that are with us this morning, and in particular Jim Berg, because it was under Jim's leadership that we're here today and that our skeletal remains are in their rightful place. Our heartache, our loss cannot be measured. Today, this morning, whenever, even during your 1 minute of moment of reflection, is sometimes too difficult to bear. I wish there was more time, and I'm sure there will be, should we start more discussions. I want to thank those who have walked this land for thousands and thousands of years. I want to thank everyone who's come together here tonight. Thank you. I also want to pay my respects to those who had no idea that their life would be cut short. And sadly, still today, we lose too many of our people. The atrocities that occurred through colonisation have had a major impact on our community, and we struggle to keep the fight going. But I'm very grateful that we have a very vibrant young community. And as the senior elder of the Wurundjeri people at this time, I feel very honoured to have the presence of all of you here with us this morning. We meet on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people. We bring a gift that has been given to us, not only to us, but to everyone across this nation. And that gift is the manigum. For those of you who may not know, Warren is the river white gum and Jerry is the grub that lives in that tree. And this gift, again, has been nurtured so that you and I can share through those ancient times and continue not only this morning, but hopefully through the rest of our time on this earth. I'm very proud to be here on my father's traditional lands. I know he and others would be immensely pleased with the efforts of today, and I want to thank the City of Melbourne and also our Victorian NAIDOC Committee. There are many branches of leaves with us tonight, but I'll still take a leaf for those who have passed long before their time. Should you accept this gift, it means that you are welcome to everything, from the tops of the trees to the roots of the earth. You are given freedom of the bush. That freedom was taken away from our people. It also means, though, that you join with us to continue to nurture what we've all been given, in hope that we can reverse some of the climate change that has taken place. We've not looked after this country. We've not looked after our animals. We've not looked after our rivers. And it is time, this time now, we hope, in desperation, because how many times have we been let down? But we'll stand stronger with each of you And again, thank you for being with us this morning. I want to pay my respects lastly to all the families of those who have family here and say that we're sorry, we're Wura Beninda. And at least if we continue to work together, then maybe we won't have to come to sites like this for reflection in this time and the future. Our language is the Woi Wurrung, Womenjakar, Wurundjeri Balak, Yemen, Kundibek, and you are most welcome to the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. Notchkamwa.
Thank you. Biladung yang wangat, Nadanik Stacy, Waranjeri Willamik, Waranjeri Balakut, Mundanai Kirap Dikalara Binadang, Mundanai Murup Liwik, Mundanai Willambik, Mundanai Kirap. So in the Woiwurrung language that Adi Joy just explained, which is our traditional Wurundjeri language, I acknowledged my ancestors. I acknowledged the Birrarung, which is the Yarra River flowing nearby. I acknowledged our home country, which was home to many people before settlement. And there's many of us who still call this place home today. Many of us who were all survivors of what occurred during the invasion. I also acknowledged our Kiddup, which is our friends. So that's all of you that are here today that stand with us and support us, even in the rain. It's not a bad thing. I think rain is a beautiful cleansing element. And as many may know, as part of the Diri Diri, Mandy Nicholson, my beautiful cousin, we acknowledge the rain as part of the 6 layers of country. So this event, I suppose I will explain those just quickly because it's important to activate those 6 layers. This event is a ceremony. It's a way for us to heal and a way for us to acknowledge the brutality and the dispossession that took place. And while people celebrate down the road or around the country, this hits us very hard. And it's pretty hard for people in any situation to heal when you're not being heard. And the voices of our ancestors are still not being heard. The Victorian NAIDOC Committee are proud and honoured to take this, or hold this ceremony as a way to move forward and represent the Victorian community as best we can. It's a huge responsibility and we take it very seriously. So the 6 layers of country, it starts with the Thurungulk, which is Bunjul's home above the clouds, and Bunjul is our creator spirit who takes the form of an eagle. Then there's the Wurruwurrubik, the sky country. This is where Bunjul and Wa and Balayan, so Wa is the crow, our protector, and Balayan, the bat, who's around here in many numbers. And Balayan is Bunjul's brother. He's the guardian of the water. Then we have the Mourning, which is the wind country. This is the wind and the air, essentially, and that's something we think about in terms of using our voices and sharing our language. This travels through the wind and through the air and touches everything. Then we have the Banyabik, the water country, the rain, and the rivers and the creeks that are flowing, which are also part of this genocide or ecocide. We have these things being destroyed. Then we have the Big Dewey, which is the on country where we conduct our business, and the big or the below country where the roots of the trees, the underground water tables, and where we dig for ochre. So I had a speech written, but obviously I wasn't meant to read it because it's been rained on. And that's okay, that's okay. I'd rather speak from the heart. But what I will do is just give you a little flow of the ceremony today. We have, I will thank Auntie Joy for her beautiful welcome to country and for holding that space as a senior elder. Then we have John Patton here, one of the beautiful brothers in our community who's an incredible public speaker and an incredible cultural educator. So he'll be sharing a history of the day of mourning after I finish. And this is an important element because that talks about how for 83 plus years, or in 1938, our old people called for a day of mourning. And that was before Australia Day was even a national holiday. Following John, we'll have Mandy doing a narration around the mother tree, and we'll have the Jirijiris present. Then we'll have the Massacres being read out. So, yeah, it's quite moving. This is the third year we've done this. So the first and second year was, you know, it's something just to really, while we're reading them, just to reflect on them and think about the impact that it had and what it still has today. But then how can we heal and heal these spirits? So following that, we'll have the Jirijiris doing a farewell chant, which is sending the spirits off into the Tharangal, which is Bunjil's home above the clouds. Then we'll have our beautiful Māori whānau, Jeremy, Nikora and the crew to share what it means to them to stand with us as First Nations people. I'll also just point out again that if you'd like to come forward, particularly Victorian mob, it'd be great if we could have a bit of your presence closer. And there's 8 cards to read out of the massacres. So if anyone, I have a few people in mind that I'm just going to shout out and get you up here. But yeah, if we could get 8 people just sort of gathered around here, social distancing. And we'll read those out after the next couple of speakers. So now I'll introduce John Patton, Yora Yora Bunjalung man, to talk about the history of the day of mourning. Thank you.
Not always good being super tall. Jingoa ngani banam nanangs. Good morning, brothers and sisters. My name is John Patton. I'm a Yora Yora and Bunjalung man. My family are from here in Victoria, from up in the high country, Durura country, from Yora Yora, from the mid-Murray, and from the Clarence River in far northern New South Wales. Today is about our history, all of our history, not just Koori history here in Victoria, Aboriginal history across the country, and Torres Strait Islander culture and history as well, but the history that belongs, that is what we have gained over the last 65,000 years, which belongs to all of us. Today is a day where many minds and hearts are in conflict, but they don't need to be. It's been interesting to see over the last 2 years how the winds have changed in our direction. That more and more Australians are starting to see and are starting to speak out and understand that there is something more to be said about Australia Day, a day of mourning, Invasion Day. Even when we honour our ancestors and honour our traditional owners and our elders who are with us today, we have a long heritage that we can look back to, a long, long story. 65,000 years, and further evidence today suggests up to 85,000, that we are that we are really coming to terms, or beginning to come to terms with who we are as a nation. We are very good in this country about celebrating our wins, and we talk about those nation-building episodes in our history. White Australia, or broader Australia, are very good at talking about the First Fleet, about convicts, about the gold rush and bushrangers, and all the romanticism, the things that they feel belong to them. But here I am, I'm a Koori man, and I also have non-Indigenous ancestry. I had a couple of ancestors that were aboard those ships that came to Australia in 1788. And when we look at that date, the 26th of January, what happened on that date? We talk about the British flag being raised, but it wasn't the first time that it was raised. Cook did that in 1770. We talk about it being the foundation of Australia or New South Wales, but that didn't happen until later. It wasn't in that month that the colony was properly founded and established. So what happened on that day? On that day, only the male convicts were allowed to go to shore. And we talk about how those people were nation builders. And yes, they were part of that story, and they are an important part of the story, along with all those people who came here freely, and everyone who has come here since, and everyone who was already here. Our history is so much more than we share with others. We tell ourselves lies in this country because we tell ourselves we are a young country, but we are ancient. We are so much more. And I think about all those elders who fought hard in 1938, and they created a day of mourning to honour our past and to put into the eyes of white Australia our plight and talk about the hardships we were experiencing, and not just at that point, but for 150 years to that point, and that we are still experiencing in many communities around this country. And we talk about the kinds of money that are being spent on Koori health and other aspects of who we are. Sure, it's a large amount of money, but when you think of our nation of 25 million people and the kind of expenditure that goes across those people, and not just the 3% that make up Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders, it's a drop in the bucket. It is nowhere close to the reparations that are required to get us on a level footing where we rightfully deserve to be, equal in the eyes of all Australians. We have come a very long way, but we have a long way to go. We need to be honest about who we are as a country. We have done many great things in this land, and at every step, Koori people have been a part of it. When I hear stories about, when people talk about their ancestors, non-Indigenous ancestors, and they say, oh yes, convicts are Australian royalty. What does that mean for my ancestors that were not convicts? When they talk about history belonging to those people who established civilization, what are you talking about when you say civilization? Are you talking about when the Gunitjmara built the world's greatest aquaculture system 7,000 years ago? Are you talking about the oldest building on earth, Garbramang in the Northern Territory, which is 35,000 years old and still standing? Are you talking about the fact that Aboriginal people throughout the continent wore clothing despite what your history books tell you? That we had trade and commerce, There is so much more to our history that our schools cannot present to us because they are under-resourced. Australian history in general is under-resourced, and further resources are being pulled away from the education system. We have a long road ahead of us. But I think back to 1938 and the likes of my grandfather, Jack Patton, who was president of the Aborigines Progressive Association. He was a Kamragunja man, he was Yorta from up on the Murray River, up near Barmer. And he fought hard throughout his life to better the plight of his people. And whilst we have made strides and gains, there is still more to come. I think about his contemporaries, the likes of Sir Doug Nicholls, whose daughter Auntie Pam is with us today, and I'd like to acknowledge her. I think about William Cooper and Margaret Tucker and Geraldine Briggs. All of these amazing people who fought for us. And before them, the likes of Simon Wonga and William Barak, who without them there would be no Jack Patton or William Cooper. I think about Fred Maynard, who created the first Aboriginal political organisation, the Australian Aborigines Progressive Association in the 1920s. These are unsung heroes in our history, not Aboriginal history, but Australian history. We're at a point in our history that if I ask someone, do you know who Nelson Mandela is? Do you know who Dr. Martin Luther King is? Most Australians know those names. How many of them know who Jack Patton is or Margaret Tucker is? How many of them know who Bill Onus is? These are people who are doing the equivalent of those heroes from abroad over 50 years earlier. And many of our leaders were fighting right from 1788. Windradine, Pemulwuy, Mosquito. There are so many names in Australian history that we do not acknowledge. So that's where we are today. We're at the back end of a very long journey that is still ongoing. There is so much that we need to change. And when we look at this date, January 26, it's not so much about the date. It's what its history has meant. Aboriginal people have been excluded from those celebrations. The first time we were invited was in 1938, when a group of men were stolen away from Menindee Mission in Western New South Wales. And they were ordered to perform a retreat and a reenactment of the governor coming ashore. And if they didn't take part, they would have theirs and their families' rations taken away from them. There is so much to consider in our history with our stolen generations and everything that is ongoing. Many things that are built on lies in this country. We can be a great country provided that we acknowledge where we have come from, because you can't know where you are going if you don't know where you have come from. I'm excited about the future. Today means so many things for me. Today is my younger son's birthday. But his celebration is tempered with the fact that we are also in mourning, because we have the likes of a Prime Minister who doesn't properly acknowledge or understand our history. We talk about the positives. We don't acknowledge the negatives. Very soon we're going to be hearing the names of massacres that took place across Victoria. And these are part of the University of Newcastle project to map those massacres. And let me tell you, as a historian, there is so much more to be added to that map. Every massacre that is illustrated in that map, they are all based on multiple referenced sources. If you cannot get 3 distinct sources, they do not go onto the map. Yet there are many that are fully referenced that will be added to that in time. We are looking at the tip of an iceberg, and already it is extremely horrific when you see how many massacres took place. This is what Australia was built on. And going back to those people who unsettled this country, because they certainly weren't settling anything. When they came here, they weren't the only people contributing to that story. There were Aboriginal farmers. The agricultural industry in this country was built first on the back of Chinese labour and then on Aboriginal labour. We don't acknowledge that either. There is so much more for us to understand and appreciate about our past. 1938, when my grandfather spoke and presented, along with William Ferguson, their plan for citizenship rights in this country, some of those changes that they hoped for still have not eventuated. And so I'm excited about what the future may hold. Someone did something very dangerous a little bit earlier. They said, "Oh, you've got 10 minutes to speak, John, but this is our ceremony. You know, you take what time you need," and I'm not going to take too much more time. I want to leave you with my grandfather's speech from 1938. Again, I'd like to acknowledge those elders who fought on our behalf, the elders today and of tomorrow who are still fighting. And if I can get the bright light out of my eyes to eventually focus. No, unfortunately I can't. No, the fact is, there are things that we can celebrate today. We have achieved much, but only together as a country where people understand that celebrating Australia Day on the day that, if you have convict ancestors, that their prison was established is probably not the best time to be celebrating. As someone with that non-Indigenous ancestry, I can't make sense of it. It should be a time where we can come together and where it's not a time that coincides with the beginning of the greatest stretch of cruelty in Australia's history. All the best to every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I knew you would take longer. And that's exactly what we want and need, because our voices are many in this state, and there's many different old people that we represent and honour their legacy. So thank you, John, for bringing in this very important information. So I too would like to acknowledge Auntie Pam. I can see her sitting there with her umbrella, and I'm grateful to you for being a huge support for the NAIDOC Committee and for many in the community to have us be here and be strong. And Uncle Jim and Auntie Kylie, just looking at you sitting there, it's giving me something that, yeah, I'm sure you know. It gives us strength. And Auntie Joy, our elders, you know, just giving us that okay. It's like, it's okay, you can speak. I think that, you know, I've been reflecting on lots of different conversations in the lead up to this event, and we really, really love and respect our elders and the wisdom that they pass on to us. And I don't think the wider society do so in such a way. Our elders are everything. They are wisdom holders, knowledge keepers. They've seen so much happen over the decades. And just to think that many elders and families who were yet to earn that right were wiped off the planet. So these massacres that we will be reading out are from Victoria alone, and as John mentioned, they are fully referenced and they're only the tip of the iceberg. These represent all of the Aboriginal people that belong to Victoria. We all come from these families. We have survivors. My 5-year-old daughter is a survivor of a convincing ground massacre on Kirrai Warong country. 2 people survived that massacre, and my daughter is here today because of those 2. So now I'll introduce Mandy for the Mother Tree narration. Thank you.
Drenched right through. Mundanai, Kiripik, Mundanai, Gangan Jim, Mundanai, Giran Sarah, Giran Joy, Giran Pam, and all other elders and aunties and uncles that are here out before the sun rises, because this is the most pure part of the day. You wake up, we all this morning didn't really want to get up, be honest, but we all got up and we had a mission today. We had a mission to honour all those people that have passed, all of our ancestors, old people that have gone before us and trailblazed for us, and the ones that their lives were cut short. This whole event should be on the same level as something that's up in that building over there, that really big monument building over there that has a fire going all the time. You know what I'm talking about. It needs to be a national recognition of the first war that happened all across this country and all across the world with First Nations people. I think there's only about over 250, there's about 30 plus countries in the world that haven't been invaded by Britain. Let that sink in. That's disgusting. I often have people coming up to me saying, or Facebook messaging saying, well, if it wasn't Britain, it would have been someone else. But throughout all of that stuff, all of that negativity, all of that dembenness, I don't know how to say it in an English way, stupidity, they don't want to open their eyes. So things like this morning really raise the awareness that we're all here, we're mourning, and we'll not stop mourning forever, because the atrocities that happened here and all over the world will never, ever, ever be forgotten. That sounds like another statement that other people use all the time, doesn't it? But we own it. We're the original people of this country, and we can speak for this country. And today we're honouring all of those Victorian mob that lost their lives. So I'm going to bring it down a bit now, and I want you all to shut your eyes, even though it's dark and I can't see you really. Shut your eyes and listen to the narrative of the mother tree that I'm going to explain. And I'll shut my eyes too, because you need to get in that zone. Picture the duat in the Birrarung, the fish, Yawa swimming in the Birrarung, Yarra River. Watch the bird or the smoke of the winya, of the fire, dancing as the wind, as the Mourning blows the smoke into different shapes. Smell the beautiful ambience from that campfire, from the winya. Listen to the bubups playing, the kids playing. Listen to the bugruk gossiping. Watching the gulanya, the men out hunting for marum and burramal, emu and kangaroo. Listen to the murnmut and the banyamin, the rain touching your marum, your body, the wind, murnmut entering your body through your lungs. Feel country, VIC, feel it. Don't just see it, nganga. All through this time, a little seedling started to grow. Before all these buildings are here, were put here forcibly. This seedling watched, and it learnt from the people. It watched people living in harmony. It watched happiness. It watched the women digging the wuleli or the Mourning tuber with their wulanya, with their digging sticks. They watched the men burn country. They manicured this environment. We were scientists. Not we were, we still are. We're scientists. We're ecologists. We're masters of our realm. So this country was beautiful before everything came along that wasn't from nature. So this seedling grew over time, and eventually it grew into a giant old wiggable bial, a giant old red gum. There is a couple still around here. There's one in the Botanical Gardens. There's another one in the Botanical Gardens called the Federation tree. I think that name should change. But someone had an idea that they might ringbark that tree, which they did, so it's died now. There was one down at the church down here, the big spire church. And that was used for invaders. You can't say it any other way. That was used for sitting under and praying. These magnificent trees, they grew into those beautiful mother trees, the baban darang, the mother trees. They watched everything. Then all of a sudden, it was chopped down. This is when all the buildings started to get built. This is when the laughter stopped. The men stopped hunting. The animals went away. The women cried. But during this time, as this city, Nam, was being built, the invaders thought that this tree was dead. But it had a really deep root structure, and that's language. Shoots started coming from the trunk. They're the next generations coming through. Community leaders. The trunk itself is the elders. And it had time to drop seeds, and those seeds are our bubups, our children. So even though all of this destruction happened, the earth, the powdery soil, the fertile soil no longer is there. That tree survived. So I want you to open your eyes now and wake up if you've fallen asleep. And remember Nam that way. Don't see the buildings. Don't see the hectic heaviness of the city. The unculturalness, if that's even a word, of the city. Don't let it drag you down. Look past the buildings like you're looking through your hand. I can still see past my hand. Look through the buildings like you're looking through your hand. So this tree is the elders. It's the branches are culture. The language is the roots. So if we're firmly implanted in this ground, we will never, ever die. We will always survive, even though we were tried, people cut us down. So that's the metaphor for culture surviving atrocities. And I will always reference that beautiful baban darang, that mother tree, because it gave all of its genetic code to those shoots and to those seedlings, and we live on and we'll never die. Nungojin, thank you.
Thanks, Mandy. That was just, yeah, so beautiful and moving and, yeah, healing. So we will move into the reading of the Massacres. And as I said, I was going to just call out to a few people. I can see Stevie Thorpe right there, if you don't mind coming up. I'm just getting ready to read out one of the cards. We have Kate Ten Buren here in the audience, if you'd like to make your way to the stage. Would any elders like to? I'd prefer you just doing what you need and sitting and resting. It's our turn. It's our turn. I get it. We'll have a couple of the juries. So Kira? Where are you, Kira? And Nanjira? How many have I got now? Sue-Ann? And obviously Lydia is here, which is so nice to see you, sis. I'll get you to kick it off, if that's okay.
January 1, 1834 to 31st of December 1834. Convincing Ground, Portland Bay, Jawad Warung, 20 Aboriginal people killed. 16th of July 1836, Mount Cotterell in Werribee, Wathaurong people, 10 killed. 1st of November 1837 to the 30th of November 1837, the Mundy Massacre, Paralong Station, Goulburn River, Tunnerong country, 6 people murdered. 12th of April 1838, Faithful Massacre in Benalla, Tunnerong country again, 1 Aboriginal person murdered. 1st of June 1838 to the 30th of June 1838, Waterloo Plains, Jadawarung country, 23 innocent people murdered.
First of June 1838 to 30 June 1838, Campaspe Plains, Dajurung, 40 killed. 1st of June 1938, 31st of August 1838, Darlington Station, Jajawarung, 13 killed. 1st of July 1836, 31 July 1st of July 1838, 31st of July 1838, Reservoir 1, Dajurung, 10 killed. 1st of October 1838, 31st of October 1838, Murdering Flat, Wallawurrung or Nungagalang, 40 killed. 1st of February 1839, 28th of February 1839, Maiden Hills, Jadawarung, 6 killed. 1st of June 1839, 30th of November 1839, Chimney Pots, Dajurung or Narajagal, 69 people killed. 1st of October 1839, 31st of October 1839, Murdering Gully, Dajurung or Kire Wurrung or Wirrigignor, Dajurung, 35 killed.
First of December 1839 to the 31st of January 1840. Bloodhole, Jabberung, 6 killed. 1st of January 1840 to the 28th of February 1840, Tahara, Wallawarung, 6 killed. The 1st of January 1840 to the 31st of December 1840, Latrobe Valley, unknown, 20 killed. 8th of March 1840, Fighting Hills, Nunanjali, 41 killed. 1st of April 1840, Fighting Waterholes, Wallawarung and Nunjala, 20 killed. 1st of June 1840 to the 30th of June 1840, Mustons, Jabberung and Gaiwarung, 8 killed. 9th of June 1840, Campaspe, Jabberung and Lawarung, 7 killed.
th of June 1840, Mountain Race, Jabberung or Gaiwarung country, 20 killed. 20th of August 1840 to 20th of August 1840. 12th of August 1840 to 20th of August 1840, Victoria Valley, Jabberung country, 23 killed. 1st of October 1840 to 31st of October 1840, Bonnie Point, Gippsland, Gunai or Tutungalang or Breakalong country, 15 killed. 1st of November 1840 to 30th of November 1840, Connells Ford, Nunjalung country or Wooloowart country, 15 killed. 1st of November 1840 to 30th of November 1840, Burrumpeep, Pertpertwarong country, 7 killed. 1st of Jan 1840 to 31st of December 1841, Butchers Creek, Tutungalang country, 30 killed. 1st of June 1841 to 30th of June 1841, Mount Sturgeon Station, Jabberung country, 6 killed.
I get what you see with the light. 1st of June 1841 to 25th of July 1841, Woodlands, Stace, can you read? I need glasses and not wearing them. Okay. Yeah, I can't read that, so can you take my spot? Thank you.
1st of June 1841 to 25th of July 1841, Woodlands, Yankenwarung, 7 killed. 23rd of August 1841, Rufus River, Yuyu Nyingtate Manawara, 30 killed. 1st of December 1841 to 28th of February 1842, King River above Oxley Plains, Wangaratta, unknown clan, 200 killed. 1st of February 1842 to 28th of February 1842, Tyrone, Kurunkapanuk and Bigwaron, 6 killed. 24th of February 1842, Lubra Creek, Karamat Station, Gaiwarung or Jabberung, 6 killed. 7th of August 1842 to the 18th of August 1842, Umaralla, Tatungalang, 6 killed. 1st of October 1842 to the 31st of October 1842, Tyrone, Bigwarung, Kurunkapanuk, 24 killed.
First of December 1842 to 31st of December 1842, Holland's Landing, Tatungalang, 6 people killed. 1st of February 1843, Barmer Lake, Barap or Jabula Jabula or Yorta Yorta, 26 people killed. 1st of July 1843 to the 31st of July 1843, Warrigal Creek Waterhole, Ratulwalang, 75 people killed. 1st of July 1843 to 31st of July 1843, Warrigal Creek Mouth, Ratulwalang, 25 people killed. 15th of July 1843 to the 31st of July 1843, Freshwater Creek Gippsland, Ratulwalang, 25 people killed. 15th of July 1843 to the 31st of July 1843, Gammon Creek Gippsland, Ratulwalang, 25 people killed. 6th of August 1843, Wannon River, Jabwarang or Nunjadjali, 17 people killed.
First of September 1843 to the 10th of September 1843, Fitzroy River, Tawad Warung, 10 people killed. 1st of September 1843 to the 30th of September 1843, Crawford River, Tawad Warung or Wallawarung, 9 people killed. The 1st of November 1843 to the 30th of November 1843, Cluny, Nundajali or Mudajali, 6 people killed. The 1st of November 1843 to the 1st of June 1844, Tambo Crossing, Tatungalang or Brabrulung, 70 people killed. The 1st of July 1845 to the 31st of July 1845, Mount Arapiles, Mardajali, 6 people killed. 2nd of July 1845, Narracourt Caves, Buendig, 6 people killed. And 1st of Feb 1846, Loddon Junction, Wamba Wamba, 6 people killed.
If I can, I'd just like to make a request that in the future, as we go forward, that when we speak about these massacres, we call them what they are, just as Lydia did. They are murders. They are not killings. 1st of August 1846 to 2nd of August 1846. Air River Estuary, Cape Otway, Garabunad, 8 people murdered. 16th of December 1846 on the Snowy River, Tatungalang or Kuratargalang, 15 people murdered. 1st of July 1847 to 31st of July 1847, Mount Eccles, Daldwarang, 30 people murdered. 1st of July 1847 to 31st of July 1847, Mount Napier, Wooloowurrung, Jabberlang or Gaiwarung, 30 people murdered. 1st of June 1848 to 30th of June 1848, Beveridge Island, Wamba Wamba or Waddy Waddy, 7 people murdered. The 1st of January 1850 to 31st of December 1850, the Slaughterhouse, Tatungalang or Brabrulung, 15 people murdered. The 1st of January 1850 to 31st of December 1850. Millie, Broadrib River, Kratangalang, 15 people murdered.
Thank you, family. So I'll just add that, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I acknowledge that there's people watching from home. We're live streaming today for the first time. And there's a lot of people watching who are connected to these, and maybe people from around the country hopefully are watching. So we acknowledge our First Nations people from around the country, our brothers and sisters, elders, their ancestors, and we stand with you today as well, because this is just Victoria. There were massacres, brutal murders that took place across the entire country. So now I'll call on the juries, and Mandy will sing a farewell chant, which is in the Wurrung language, and this is to honour the spirits of these people and send them off into the Tharangog.
And I forgot to mention earlier, yeah, they're in my pocket. Got 'em here. The reason I've got the white ochre on my forehead is because white ochre on your forehead is a sign of mourning. And yeah, and it's really significant, and I needed to mention why I've got that on. So we'll just wait for the juries to gather. But this chant was created because there wasn't anything available in my language to farewell our loved ones when they passed. So my mum and dad weren't too well for a number of years, and I thought I need to send them off properly if they ever pass, which they both have. And I sang it for my dad's funeral. And it's what we need to reclaim. We need to reclaim the traditional way for burying our loved ones. No offence to people that are Christian or have their own spiritual beliefs, but our funerals should be done proper way, with ceremony, with a smoking, with a proper farewell to their spirits. And this chant is the outcome of that. And it basically is along the lines of farewell, dear spirit. You watch us from Tarangolk, from above the clouds. We will see you tomorrow when our souls reunite. Now you can participate in this by putting your hand over your heart and doing a heartbeat sound. And you can keep pace with my clap sticks as well. Twaganin, yellow billing, moro, nganganyaro, nganganyaro. Nganganganyen, nganganganyen, yirumboy. Winyira morak nganyen, ngalajere. Mourning Yirabiling Murup.
So we all multitask. We have a lot of roles in community, and sometimes it's hard to play those roles in the one space, but it's very meaningful actually to do that, and it's an honour to dance with my family and for you to sing for us, Mandy. Thank you. So the ochre on Mandy's forehead, that's a symbol of mourning. So we don't wear our jury ochre today, we wear the symbol of mourning, which will pop on afterwards for the rally at 11 o'clock, and then Share the Spirit Festival this afternoon, where we feel better about coming together, and it's not a celebration, but it's a gathering where we can acknowledge, and this way to start the day is just so appropriate. And yeah, I'd just like to congratulate Lydia and the volunteers and the community who started this and honoured that legacy of those elders that called on this for 83 plus years. So I'll now invite Jeremy, Nikora up, and the whānau with their message of solidarity. This family, whānau, they come to our ceremonies, which we have in November every year, and they walk with us every day of the year, not just on the big sort of markers. So yeah, it's a really important message from a family that support us in such a deep way. It gives us a lot of strength. So I'll introduce Jeremy.
Sarah. Sarah. Yep. Ka pai. Whew. Just gonna firstly, just as it's okay. I'm holding a very dangerous looking stick, but just be assured we're here for peaceful reasons today, so it's okay. Mai te tipua mai te tawhito mai te kāhui o ngāriki mai tawhiki ngā tūwa. O i kia tau te mauri aho no mai tiki o te rangi. Ki rungi ki enei taura, ki rungi ki enei tauira. He tukuna enei tamo noa te whai ororo tāne te waiora. Tēnei te matatau ka ke whakatū tae ki te rangi. Uhi, wero, tau mai te awatea. Haumi e, hui e! Atu tei rā e mihi atu ki te rungarawa, nāna titimatanga, nāna no te whakamutunga, nāna nei ki ngā mea katoa. A korangi nui e tūiho nei, ko papa tuanuku e takoto nei, a tēnā rā kōrua, a katira. Ki te mana whenua o tēnei wāhi, Ngāti Ponorong, Ngāti Wurundjeri, mea rātu, ngā iwi katoa, ngā Kulin Nations, a tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Anei mātou ngā iwi Māori whānui, ko hara mai ki Wainganui, ki tēnei wāhi tapu, i tuana ki a koutou, i whakakahatia tō tuara, i whakamanatia te kaupapa te rangi nei, tēnā koutou. Ki ngā tini mate, haere atu rā, oki atu rā, moi mai rungi te korowai o te atua, mō ngā iwi ki konei, ko Banjo, me wā, tana hoa rangatira, moi mai, moi mai rā. A oti rā, a mai te pō, a ki te ao, a tēnā tātou, a te hunga ora, tātou e whawhai tonu, mo te whenua nei, e whawhai tonu, me te reo o tēnei wāhi, me whawhai tonu, mo ngā mea, te kaupapa nei, a tēnā tātou, kia ora tātou katoa. Kia ora everybody. Wow, what a beautiful morning. Like one of the elders before said, rain is a cleansing, and I think it's actually quite appropriate that we have this today. In the language of my people, I addressed everybody. I addressed our creative spirit. For us, it's Io. For here, this region is Bunjil, and obviously Wā. I also addressed and paid tribute to this land, to its amazing people, its beautiful cultures that fights continually day to day to be recognised. As is our custom also, I said a farewell and a mihi, a blessing out to those that have come before us, those that have fought and sacrificed and passed on to allow us the privilege to be here today, to gather and to remember. And then I brought us back into the land of the world, the land of the light, the land of the living, and introduced us as Māori people from across all our country, Aotearoa, New Zealand, to acknowledge the purpose of today, the kaupapa, and to again reaffirm the reason why we're here is to stand side by side and to give our essence, to give our mana, our strength, I suppose, to not just the purpose, but also to those of us or those of you who are here for the same reason. So I was on the way in here this morning, and my beautiful partner, was asking me, what are you going to say? I was like, I don't know. I never know what I'm going to say at these things. And it was good because I always sort of sit and listen to the speeches, and I'm like, okay, I'll try and remember that point because that's a really good point to go back to. I think the most important thing is that when I look at these things, and we've been really blessed to come to many, as Stace was saying, to walk alongside in many different events. And I think it might have been Auntie Joy spoke about a movement. There's a real movement. Over the last 3 years, we've been blessed to be at these things, and what I love about them is that it's not just black faces that I see in the crowds. There are people from all walks of life, all skin colours, and I really do believe that there is a movement of change, And I think it all starts obviously within our heartbeats, and I want to pay tribute to obviously to Auntie Joy, beautiful Uncle Jim, and your beautiful wife, Auntie Pam, to our beautiful sisters, our Jiri sisters who have blessed us and allowed us to walk and practice and be a part of our, to practice our own cultural rights under their protection and their guidance. And I say that with a lot of humility, their protection. Because for us, we've had our people here for many, many years, and we are part of that movement as well, even for our own people. Our journeys are very, very similar. Slightly different, but very, very similar in terms of our contact with Europeans. So for us to be able to nurture our young ones, to teach them our language and our customary processes and protocols, our journey here is intertwined with the fate and the survival of the mana whenua, as we call them, the traditional owners of these countries. So how could we not be here? How can we not walk alongside and be a part of that, because our own survival and our own integrity is dependent on it. And I have this one guiding principle. There's a few in terms of our Māori culture. I have this one guiding principle that is always, well, it hasn't always, but it's mostly kept me out of trouble. And that is, what would my nanny say? What would my nanny say? Sometimes I've never listened to what my nanny said, and that's got me where I've gone a little bit crooked, but what would my nanny say? If my nanny saw me doing what I do, and I know she's up there guiding me, because every now and then I feel a little bit of a twitch, or my ear might feel like a little bit of a flick. But yeah, that's kind of guided me into where I am today. Real privilege, but yeah, it's a golden rule that's, when I've listened to it, it's never turned me wrong. But I'm not going to stand up here too long, but I just wanted to acknowledge Stacey, Sue-Ann, a beautiful sister Mandy, good to see you back after a big journey up north around the different countries, learning and doing what she does. Lydia, all of you that we've shared a journey over the last few years, and to reaffirm that we are here to walk alongside, not to showboat or be anything other than people that will walk at the journey alongside the Aboriginal people of this land, First Nations, traditional owners. I know I get a little bit hesitant about using that word Aboriginal, Indigenous, because they are white fella terms. Same with us. But we are here, and it is a real privilege for me to be able to stand up in front of my own beautiful people, to add our strength, to add our humility to these proceedings. So we have I'm going to finish off just with one last proverb from the language of my people. It's called E hara taku toa I te toa takitahi, engari he tō takitini. It's okay, bro. It means, figuratively, I'm not the strength of one, I'm in fact the strength of many. And it is a proverb that I hold dear, because for a number of reasons. It means that, when I get up here and I have these nervous butterflies in my stomach, I know that I walk with not just me, but with a whānau, a family, that give me their strength to be able to stand up in front of them, which is an honour. It also means that physically, spiritually, I'm also not alone either. It draws me back to my elders, that I know that they are guiding me, guiding us in everything that we do. So I'm not just the strength of myself, I'm not just the strength of our family that are still alive, but I'm the representation of all those that have actually come before us, that have sacrificed. And I think also, for us as a group that are gathered here today, that saying, that proverb is really poignant, because of all the pressures that are actually out there in society, whether it's social media or anything like that, but just the pressures of actually standing up for Aboriginal rights, we need to be able to draw from the strength of each other. So for these beautiful ladies and all the champions and the beautiful elders that have actually gone before, that have actually stood up on their own, we have to remember that we are not alone. And that although physically the toil and the burden can be really, really heavy to bear, we need to draw from the strength of others' journeys that are actually still there with us. So we are not the strength of one, we are in fact the strength of many. And that's part of that movement that we are all a part of. So in those late, long hours when you have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, or you're burdened by, the weight of some statement that, maybe ScoMo said that's pretty insensitive or something, just remember that there is this physical world, and there are many, many people that are on that same pathway. You're not alone, and we're guided by those that have actually gone before us. So, nō reira, tēnā koutou, a kia ora tātou katoa. Kia ora tātou katoa. Thank you very much for having us today. Kia ora.
So I've lost some paper. That Mourning, the wind country. It's just taking my paper. So that officially closes the ceremony, and thank you. And I'd just like to say a thank you to City of Melbourne for supporting this event. COVID's obviously been something that has either stopped or changed things, but I feel really happy that we still were able to come together and mark this occasion with COVID safety in place. So thank you, guys. Auntie Joy did request that people, usually does, but we have had a chat, that people collect or pick a leaf and leave it in the fire, which is near the exit on the way out. You can choose whether you'd like to do that or not. There are leaves at the exit. And there will be a breakfast. There's a COVID check-in, so City of Melbourne have organised a breakfast. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the day in whichever way you feel. But thank you so much for joining us for this very significant ceremony.